So we are going to use these three rates: the rate of induced absorption, rate of spontaneous emission, and rate of stimulated emission. So if I want to have a laser, efficient laser, what is the meaning of efficient laser? That means the intensity has to be good. Okay. So for effective or efficient laser, so what you need is you need to have a higher so laser refers to light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So you need to have more light amplification. Light amplification means you need to increase the intensity of light. Okay. How do you get this increase of intensity of light is by only through your stimulated emission. So out of these three, you need more number of stimulated emission compared to the other two things. Okay. So if you take any system, you will have all the things will be happening by itself. Okay. So for example, I will explain you. So if you take a system like as I explained, there may be uh, some 10 or I will take 3 to 6. Okay. So let me take 6 atoms. So there are 6 atoms. Initially, this is in ground state. So what I do, I give some energy. So if I send 3 photons, then what happens? So if I give 3 photons, then 3 atoms will go to the excited state. Okay. So what I will do, I will write the same Fe, 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 but the excited atom will be represented as your in terms of your star. So if I write star, that means it is a atom which is in excited state. So now if I want to have the stimulated emission, so this is your induced absorption. So induced absorption will not give any kind of what we call as the high intensity, but only it will make the atom to go to the excited state. So now if I want to have stimulated emission, then what I need to do? I need to send at least 3 photons. So if I give now 3 photons before 10 raised to minus 8 seconds, then what happens? There is possibility that your there is possibility that these atoms will so your photon is going to interact with these atoms which are in excited state, and they will come down to ground state. Okay. So when they come down to ground state, so they will give out 6 photons which are coherent, or three pair three pair of coherent photons, which is nothing but your 6 pair of coherent photons. So now this is what you expect. But as you see here, like if I give only 3 photons, this photon can actually interact with the atom which is already in ground state. So okay, so we expect this photon to interact only with the atom which is already in excited state. But instead of this, so it is not going to interact with this, it will interact with this. Then what will happen? You will have induced absorption. So this is also possible. You cannot control this because you are just sending the photon. This photon can interact with any of the atom. You cannot tell, okay, the photon has to go and it has to interact with this atom only, right? So these are the processes that will be occurring simultaneously. Okay, you cannot control that you will have only induced absorption, or you are having only spontaneous emission, or you are having only stimulated emission. So now what we do is, if I want to have an efficient laser means you need to have increase of the intensity of light. So when do you get increase of intensity of light? Only when you have constructive interference. Okay. So constructive interference means, so you need to have more coherent photons. If you have more coherent photons, then you can have more constructive interference. So if I take the blue case, then I will get 3 pair of coherent photons. But if I take the case of your this different color, which is your purple, so in that case, what happens? There is 2 number of your stimulated emission. So in that case, you can get only 4 coherent photons. Okay. So in that case, what happens compared to the first one, the intensity in this case would be very, very less. So that is the reason you need to know how to control this or how to play with this. Okay. So now if I want to have more number of or very efficient laser action, then I need to have more number of stimulated emission. Okay. So how to get that condition? Because I cannot control this exactly the photon which is incident to interact with any of the given atom. Okay, it can interact with any of the atom. So that is not in my hand. So what I will do is I will see what are the conditions that will make it possible that we will have higher number of stimulated emission compared to the other two emissions or your induced absorption and spontaneous emission. So for this you take two cases, case 1 and case 2, and then you try to achieve the answer. Okay, so case 1, so we will take the first and the last. Okay, so first and the last means we take induced absorption and stimulated emission, and we want to know when we can have more number of stimulated emission compared to the induced absorption. So for that what we do is we just divide it. Okay, so rate of stimulated emission divided by the rate of your induced absorption. So now we will see what will happen to this equation. Okay, so you have to just divide this with this one. Okay, so in this case I will just write those values. So this is for stimulated emission B21 N2 U of nu, B21 N2 U of nu divided by, so you just take the induced absorption. Induced absorption is B12 N1 U of nu, B12 N1 U of nu. Okay, so this would cancel out, and then what will happen to this value here is if I take this B21 by B12, these are nothing but constant by constant, like 2 by 3 or 3 by 2 or 4 by 5, everything is constant again. Okay, so this will be again a constant. So in that case what I can write is I can write your stimulated emission. So rate of stimulated emission divided by rate of induced absorption equals equals some constant into N2 by N1. Okay, or this is directly proportional to N2 by N1. Okay, so now when I can have this my aim is I want more number of stimulated emission compared to the your induced absorption. Okay, I want rate of stimulated emission to be more than rate of induced absorption. So this is when it is possible. So this is true only when your N2 by N1 is greater than 1. That means N2 is always N2 by N1 is greater than 1. Then what happens? Your right hand side is greater than 1. So then you can have a rate of stimulated emission is greater than rate of induced absorption. Okay, so this is how you can get this. So for this to happen, what is the condition here is if I take only this, then N2 should be greater than N1. Okay, so this is the condition you need to satisfy. So this is known as what we call as a population inversion. Okay, so what is population inversion? It is a state where the number of particles or the number of atoms in higher energy is more than the number of atoms in lower energy. Okay, but in principle, like if you go back and if you see that Boltzmann factor, we had derived equation that would say like at a steady state. So at a steady state, so we know that E2 is greater than E1. So from that, sorry, E2 is greater than E1. So from that we had arrived at N1 is always greater than N2. So this is the condition what we want is reverse of your steady state. So at steady state what happens? The number of atoms in ground state should be always more than the number of atoms in the upper state. Okay, or the higher energy level. But now, according to your Einstein theory, so what it is saying is, if I want to have more number of stimulated emission compared to the rate of induced absorption, then I should have N2 greater than N1. That means the number of atoms in higher energy should be more than the number of atoms in the lower energy. Only in that case, I can override. Override means I can suppress induced absorption and I can have only stimulated emission. So as I told in the example in the example which I was talking here. So in this case, what happens? There are equal number of atoms in the ground state and excited state. So initially I took only how many? I took 6 atoms. So there are 6 atoms and I gave only 3 photons. So only 3 atoms go to the excited state. So instead of that, if I make if I give something like 6 photons, then what happens? All 6 atoms are in excited state. So now if you take this system, all are in excited state. So now if you send 3 photons, so in that case what happens? You will have more probability, or all your 3 photons will help at least 3 atoms to undergo stimulated emission. So in that case, you can always get 6 coherent photons or 3 pair of coherent photons. Okay, so this is the reason of using your what we call as your Einstein theory. Okay, Einstein, he gave the theory that will help you to understand or to get a efficient laser. How to get efficient laser? So this is the theory behind it. So which you need to understand. Okay, so this is the first condition, case one. So now, do you have any doubt? You can ask. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. So this is your condition for laser action, the first condition. So do you have any doubt with respect to this? So if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, you should tell me if you have any doubt, then I can explain again. If not, I will go to the next concept. Okay. Are you still audible? Are you able to hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Audible,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So is it clear, this concept? This is very simple. Okay. So it is just simple, but only thing is you need to know why we are doing it. Okay. Okay. So this was your first case. So what we will go to the second case. Second case, what we will do is we will take your rate of induced absorption, because this is interest, and then we will divide it by rate of spontaneous emission. So that would give some something like one more condition, okay, where you can actually have more stimulated emission compared to the spontaneous emission. Okay, so this we will do. So I will go to the new one. So in the second case, what I will do is I will have rate of stimulated emission, and I am going to just divide it by your rate of spontaneous emission. Okay, so my aim is I need to know the condition for having more number of stimulated emission compared to either your spontaneous emission or induced absorption. Okay, so this is something, if you remember, this is B21 N2 U of nu divided by, again you have A21 N2. Okay, so that is your spontaneous emission. So in this case, your N2 N2 would cancel, and as I told in the previous case, B21 A21, these are constants, so this is almost like a constant. Okay, so you can just even ignore it. Then what you can do is rate of okay, so you have rate of stimulated emission divided by rate of your spontaneous emission. spontaneous emission to be directly proportional to u of nu. Okay, so u of nu is nothing but it is the energy density. So what is the meaning of that is so you need this rate of stimulated emission divided by rate of spontaneous emission is directly proportional to u of nu. That means if you give higher number of u of nu, then you will have more number of stimulated emission. If you give a less number of u of nu, then what happens? Your stimulated emission will be less. Okay, so that is the meaning of this. So now if I come back and if I want to give the conclusion, then we can have your rate of stimulated emission more than the rate of your spontaneous emission only when your u of nu is very large. Okay, u of nu is very large. What is the meaning of u of nu? U of nu is your energy density. So energy density refers to the number of photons that you're giving to the system. Okay. So now if I come back and then just to give me a minute. So if I come back to that old example that I was telling you, so or I will just write it there only. It's better because it will be too much complicated. Okay. So I will write it again here. So let us assume, so in the previous case, we took 6 iron atoms. So this is iron, this is iron, this is iron, and then there is second row here. Then you give 3 photons. So then what happens? You will have at least 3 of them to go to the excited state. Okay, it can be anyone. Okay, so you don't have to worry which one is going. So it can be any one of them is going, any 3 of them is going to excited state. This is your induced absorption. So now instead of giving 3 photons, okay, if I give more number, more means if even if I give like 6 or 8 photons, then what is, I can still get, so maybe some of the photon is going to undergo induced absorption, but still what happens is you have 3 atoms which are in excited state. So you will get at least, even in that case, you will get minimum 3 pairs of coherent photons. Okay, so because if I write this again, so this whatever is in the stars will go to the ground state, and whatever is there in the without star, it will go to the excited state. Okay, so you will have three number of induced absorption and 3 number of stimulated emission. So even in this case, you get a more number of or higher number of stimulated emission. So that is the meaning of to have, you should have u of nu is large. U of nu refers to number of photons that are, it can be electrons or anything, that is provided to the system. Okay, so that is provided to the system. So if I have more number of u of nu, that is if I give higher number of u of nu, then still I can get the your more stimulated emission. So these are the 2 conditions for efficient laser. What are the 2 conditions? The first condition is like you should have N2 greater than N1. So this is your first condition. The second condition is U of nu is large. Your energy density has to be very large. Okay. So these are the 2 conditions that you need to have for your efficient laser. Okay. So is it clear up to this? If it is clear, then okay. So so this was about the your theory. Okay. So whatever we learned Okay, hello. Can you still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. So, so this was about the theory. Like we had a theory, we had learned about the theory of your laser. So, what happens to a laser? So, how to get a laser? So, what are the conditions for laser? Okay. So, laser refers to light amplification. That means you need to increase the intensity of light by uh, radiated emission. Okay. Lead to the increase of your light. Okay. So this was only mostly about the theory part. Okay. So now what we will do, we will move on to the like experimentally how to build a laser. Okay, and all those things. So there are a few things that I will explain today. I wanted to do some problems, but maybe I will do it tomorrow. Okay. So tomorrow I will take class from 9. So from 9 to 10, I will give you the introduction to your lab, okay, physics lab. So we will try to do some small things that you have already done in your PUC, okay. So after that, what I will do is I will try to do maybe like after 10:30 to 11:30, I will take one more class, and we will try to solve some problems on this lasers, okay. So for now, what I will do, I will go with the your experimental part. Okay, so experimental part means there is something called as a requisites. Okay, so there are different things that you should not get confused. So whatever you learned till now is a condition for laser action, condition for effective laser action. So if you take a condition for effective laser action, okay, so then condition for effective laser action, there are two conditions. So what are the two conditions? First one is your population inversion. So that is nothing but your N2 is greater than N1. And then the second one is your energy density has to be very large. Okay, E is large. So now we need to keep these things in mind, and we will see how to achieve this experimentally. Okay, only in that case I can build a efficient laser. If not, it will be just a laser. Okay, so for that, what we will do is I will take the requisites of laser. Okay, requirements or requirements or requisites requisites of laser. Okay, so this we will see, and then we will see how it happens. Okay, what are the requirements of a laser. Okay, so what is the meaning of requirement or requisites? So can anyone tell what is the requirement of what is the meaning of requirement or requisites? So these are like physical quantities. Okay, so requirements or requisites are like any physical quantity. Okay, so physical quantities or physical quantities that you need to build a laser. Okay, so if I want to build a, for example, if I want to build a table. Okay, so what are the things I need? What are the things I need? So I want to build a table, a wooden table. Okay, so if I want to build a wooden table, what are the things I need? Don't know. Wood. Okay, so at least one person wood. So you need wood, maybe some wood. Again, it can be a stick form, or you need again some a piece of wood which is flat. Okay, so in that case, what happens? Uh, those are the things that you need actually. Okay, so that will be the requirements. You need a wood. It may be some pieces of wood. You may need some Fevicol to fix them, and or you need some iron nails to put them together. All those things. Okay. So those are the things that you need to build a laser. So those are the physical quantities that you need to build a laser. In the same way, if I want to build a laser system, what are the physical quantities that you need? Okay, so that is what we are going to see here. Okay, so so first thing is if you take your any laser system, so what do you need? If I want to have a laser action, what is the meaning of laser action? You need to have the stimulated emission of radiation. So when do you have stimulated emission of radiation? When there is at least some atoms which has at least two energy levels. Okay. For example, if you take any atom, so similarly, however, it has n2 number of atoms. This has n1 number of atoms, which is your lower energy level, and this is the population. And then you already take a what time is into ground state. So these two photons are said to be coherent, and then they will give amplification of light. Okay. So what is this E2 E1? E2 E1 is nothing but this represent a atom. Where is your atom? This is in a given material. Okay. So or matter. So if you can take any material or matter, and all this material or matter will have at least few number of atoms. Okay. So now the condition is you need to have this first thing is your material. You should have the material. Only if you have material, then you can make this it to undergo induced absorption, and then again make it to again undergo stimulated emission. Okay. So now what we will do is the first thing what you need is what we call as the active medium. Active medium is the first requisites of your laser. So what is the meaning of active medium? It is any material, okay, any material. It can be in, it can be a solid, it can be a liquid, or it can be a gas. Okay, so it can be anything, just a material. Okay, so it is a material that has atoms with at least two energy levels. Okay, so you should take a material which will have at least you should take a material with the atoms, so and these atoms should have at least two energy levels like E2 E1 and E2. If it is more than two, it's good, it's not a problem, but it should have at least means minimum number of two energy levels, so that becomes your active medium. So this is your active medium. So now how do you what is your next requirements? So you even just if I have only this material with the two energy levels, I cannot have induced absorption or stimulated emission. If I want to make induced absorption or stimulated emission, then I need to provide this what we call as the external energy. So this is your energy that you are giving to the system, outside energy that you are giving to the system. So this can be again a different types. We will see that later. So you need a external energy. So this I will call it as external energy. Okay. So this is your second requirement. So what is your second requirement? So second requirement is I will call it as B. B is excitation or energy source. So what is this is? This is it can be any energy source like your phonon or electron like that. Okay, electron. So these can be in any of these. Okay, so this is your external energy that is provided to the system, given to the system, given to system in order to make your induced absorption and stimulated induced absorption and subsequent and subsequent stimulated emission. Okay, so this is your external source that you have to give. So it can be in form of photons, we are using mostly photons here, but it can also be like a phonon like your heat energy. It can be even an electron. So instead of like sending a photon, I can send an electron, and then I can make the induced absorption and also your stimulated emission. Okay, so for example, I will just give one example. So if E2 and E1 is your energy levels, so I have an atom here which is in the ground state. I will send the electron of energy E2 minus E1 is equal to E times V. So this is your electron with this energy. So E times V, because if you change E is constant, but if you keep changing your voltage, then what happens of your electron, then you can match this E2 minus E1. Okay, so then what happens, this atom is going to absorb this energy and it is going to go to the excited state. So now what we do, we take this atom which is already in excited state, and then we again send one more electron. Okay, so like this is already in excited state. So now you send one more electron of same energy with the energy of EV is equal to E2 minus E1. Okay, so in that case what happens, again this atom will come down to ground state, and in this process it will give out the two photons which would be coherent, which is nothing but your stimulated emission. Okay, so this is what we call as, why I wrote it as induced absorption and subsequent stimulated emission. If you just do induced absorption, that is not sufficient, because you are not getting a coherent beam of photons. Only when there is a coherent beam of photons, you can expect the light amplification. Okay, if there is no coherent photons, there is no light amplification. Okay, so this is about your external energy. Okay, external energy is, this is the energy that is given to the system, external energy that is given to the system in order to make your induced absorption and subsequent stimulated emission. Okay, so you can use either photon, phonon, electron, or you can even use some other energy source. Okay, so this is your second one. Then the last one is what we call as a optical resonant cavity. Okay, so the third one is what we call as the optical resonant cavity. Okay, so what is this optical resonant cavity? It is just arrangement of two mirrors. Okay, so if I want to show a diagram of laser, okay, so this is a diagram of laser. So that means any laser, it is not like any specific laser. If you take any laser, there are three parts. One is you should have a material. So let us assume this is your block of iron or block of some silicon. So this is what we call as the active medium. So this medium will have atoms with at least two energy levels. Then what you do, you can have, I will call this is your energy source. Okay, so this is your external energy source. So this, let us assume it is giving out photons. These photons are coming and they are hitting the atoms in active medium, and they are making to the atom to go to excited state and then come down to ground state, all those things. Okay, so this is your energy source. And then what we do is we place this active medium in between two mirrors. Okay, so two mirrors. So I will tell what are this, why you need this mirror. Okay, so this is your first mirror or second mirror. I will call this is your M2, second mirror, and this is your first mirror. Okay, so this is M1. I will call this is 100% reflecting. Okay, so your M2 is partially transmitting. Okay, so partially transmitting. So in that case, what happens? So your active medium is going to give out some photons. So it may be coherent photons. So let us assume there is something like there is one first pair of coherent photon, and then there is a second pair of coherent photon which is emitted in this direction. So then what is the function of this M1 and M2 is mirrors is, so if you shine the light on a mirror, so you take a torch and if you shine the light on the mirror, what will happen to that light? What is going to happen to that light? it will bounce back, right? It will come back, it will get reflected, all right? So that is why I called this is 100% reflecting. That means if I send two photons, these two photons will get reflected back into this same medium. So in that case, they will again travel in this medium. So then you can have more number of photons. So I will explain this again in the next class, why you need this kind of uh, multiplication of photons. Okay. So then what happens once they reach this M2, M2 is partially transmitting. So what you do is you take some mirror like this. So this is your mirror. So if I just coat it completely with silver, then it becomes 100% reflecting, right? So instead of that, what I will do is, so I will coat it completely, but in between I will make some holes. So something like this. So this is what you call as partially transmitting. Okay, so this if you see here, so there are some holes here. So these things will be transmitting in the sense, if your light ray is falling on the silver, then it is going to come back. But if it is falling on these spots, what will happen? It is going to come out. The same thing happens here. So if M2, they will leave some transmitting region. So your laser beam is going to come out of this. Okay. So that is nothing but your beam of coherent photons. So your laser beam is emitted. Okay. So laser beam is emitted through this M2, which is your partial uh, transmitting mirror. So M1 is completely reflecting. Completely reflecting means you coat it completely without leaving any space. Okay, so that in that case, what happens? It becomes 100% reflecting. So that is your M1. But in case of M2, what you do? You just leave some place for the emission of laser. So whenever laser light is falling on these parts, the light is going to come out of that spot. Okay, so you can control the direction of, so in that way you can also control the direction of emission of laser. That means I want the laser to come only in this part, I don't want in any other part. Okay, so this is the main reason of this optical resonant cavity. Okay, so optical resonant cavity is, it is arrangement of, so I will use the same color. What color I used? Okay, so optical resonant cavity, I will write it in short as optical ORC. Okay, ORC means optical resonant cavity is arrangement of mirrors, arrangement of two mirrors. Okay, one is reflecting, other one is partially transmitting. That help to multiply the coherent photons. Okay, so this will help to multiply the coherent photons, or you can also call okay, or you can also call it as, it will help to achieve the your population inversion. Okay, so what is the meaning of population inversion? So okay, just I will come to this later. So did you understand? So now if I want to build a laser system, so in case if I want to build a laser system, then what happens? I need some physical quantities. Physical quantity means some physical items or some materials. So the first material is your active medium. What is this active medium? It can be any material. It can be in solid, liquid, or gas that has atoms. Sorry, and these atoms should have at least two energy levels. Why two energy levels? Only then you can expect your induced absorption and stimulated emission. So that is minimum is two energy levels. You should have at least two energy levels. Okay, so that is about your what you call as the active medium. Okay, so then when it comes to the second one, so second one is your so if you want to have induced absorption and spontaneous emission, sorry, your stimulated emission, then you need to give some external energy in the form of, either in the form of photons or phonons or electrons. Okay, so these are the some of the items, so some of the ways of giving it. So this is your external energy, excitation source or energy source is your external energy that is provided to the system in order to make induced absorption, and also the subsequent or the continuous stimulated emission. Okay, so these are your second one. Okay, external energy. So how do you, this is actually is nothing but this represents your u of nu. Okay, so this has to be very, very large. Only when your u of nu is large, then you can expect more stimulated emission compared to the induced absorption. Okay, so this is nothing but this, you can also just write it as u of nu. Okay, and then the last one is your optical resonant cavity. So optical resonant cavity, what is it? It is nothing but it is arrangement of two mirrors that will help to multiply the coherent photons, or to get they will help in getting the population inversion. Okay, so these are the three different uh, requirements of a building a laser. So if I want to build a laser, then I need to have these three uh, materials. Okay, one is your active medium, then the excitation source, and last one is your optical resonant cavity. Okay, so is it clear up to this? Is it okay up to this? If it is fine, then I think we can stop at this point, or just a minute, just okay. So what is the use of this optical resonant cavity is it will increase the number of photons. Why you need to increase the number of photons is in order to achieve the population inversion. Okay, what is the population inversion? It is nothing but n2 is greater than n1. Okay, so this I will again explain you in the next class. Okay, so if I try to explain now, maybe it will be too much. So just remember the three requisites. What are the three requisites? Active medium, energy source, and the last one is your optical resonant cavity. Okay, so what is the meaning of active medium? Active medium is it is any material which will have atoms that will have at least two energy levels. Okay, each atom should have at least two energy levels, so that will be your active medium. And then excitation source is this is your external energy that you give to the system to make induced absorption and stimulated emission. Okay, so in order to make your induced absorption and also stimulated emission, you are giving external energy. It can be in the form of photons, phonons, or your electrons, or it can be anything. Okay, so that again we will see in the next class. Okay, and last one is your optical resonant cavity. It is nothing but it is just arrangement of two mirrors. One is 100% reflecting, and the second one is partially transmitting. So this will help in uh, increasing the number of photons within the cavity. So this we call it as the optical resonant cavity. Okay, so this from here to here is called as optical resonant cavity, and the length should be equal to n lambda by 2. Okay, so this you need to remember. Later we will use this in case of your uh, some of the problems. Okay, so to do some problems we will use this. So only in this case we can have constrict interference. So that is why we'll have the length of the your optical resonant cavity should be always integral multiple of lambda by 2. Okay, so this will help in increasing number of photons, and also this will help in getting the laser only from one phase. So you will not get laser in all the surface, because if your light is going to the left, then what happens? It will get completely reflected. So then it has to come back to that medium. So and it will start moving in opposite direction. Okay, once it is reflected, it start moving in this direction. So and when they reach this spot which is transmitting, partially transmitting, so in that case what happens? Your laser or the light will come out. So your laser light will come out only to the partially transmitting mirror. Okay, so these are your requirements or requisites of laser. Okay, so this I think yes, I think stop it. Okay, because already it's too much, so I think it will stop it. Okay, so I will send you the link for address, sorry, your attendance in the WhatsApp. Okay, so tomorrow we will meet at 9 o'clock. So 9 to 10 I will give you the introduction to lab, and then after that I will take one more class just for doing some problems. Okay, so we'll see tomorrow. If you have any question, you can ask. If not, we'll stop. Okay.